Hi, I'm Kathy Perret with the City of Santa Barbara's Water Conservation Program. Today we're going to talk about the three major reasons why toilets leak. 20% of all toilets are actually leaking right now and you don't even know it. The first one is usually a flapper. You might see the water trickling in the bowl. You may hear a flush when you're the only one home. It's a ghost. It's a ghost flush. Easy to fix by changing the flapper with one that fits appropriately. The second leak, which is a silent type of a leak, is the water level in the back of the toilet tank. If you take the tank off, you look at where the water level is with the overflow tube. If you don't have an inch or at least a finger's digit between the top of the tube and the water, you can count on that water leaking down the tube and running all night. It's not one you're going to hear. And the third type of a leak is when the flapper stays up way too long and totally empties out the back of your tank, using way more water than the toilet is designed for. For the first leak we're going to test, it would be the flapper leak, when the water is going through the bottom of the tank and coming out in the bowl, going down the drain. We use food coloring in the form of dye tablets. Very simple to test. Open up the container, remove the lid, and then just drop both of those dye tabs in the back of the tank. And then we need to wait about 10 to 15 minutes. If there's any seepage of water in the flapper, that's that rubber flapper that comes up when you flush the handle, the blue from in the tank will come out in the bowl, and that'll be your idea that you need to change that flapper. It's about a $5 part. It can save you 150 gallons a day of leaking water. If you don't happen to have a package of dye tabs, you can either pick them up at the hardware store or you can use food coloring that's available at any of the grocery stores. If you look in the bowl after you've used the dye tabs and the water in the bowl is clear, you don't have a leak. If you open the bowl and you see blue, you may have just a little line of blue or it could be totally blue. That indicates that you have a leak. And it's time to change that flapper. So we found we had blue, which meant we needed to replace our flapper. The flapper is the little rubber seal that goes on the overflow tube and hooks up to the handle to control when the water comes and goes. Best way to change this, first start, turn the water off to the back of the tank. So we'll go to the turn off valve, turn it clockwise until it's off, and then take the tank off, flush all the water out. You'll have to hold the handle up, but because we turned the water off, it's not going to refill. We're just going to let as much water out as possible. This particular flapper has just the little wings out to the side. If you look at this one, it can either have a tube or just the wings. We're going to use just the wings. So I'm going to cut off the tube, and that will dispose of. And then when we do this one, we'll pull this off the sides, off of one wing, off of two wings. We've now removed this. And check the rubber seal. A lot of times you'll see the rubber seal will be buckled, and that's part of the reason why the water is seeping. Then you remove it from the handle. We now have one retired flapper. The new flapper has these two little holes. They're going to go one around each wing, one on that side, one around on this side. Make sure it seals nicely. We hook it under here, hook it in the hole, and then now what we have is a flapper that goes up, comes back down. We're going to put the water on and make sure that it works appropriately. You always want to make sure after you've changed your flapper that you've used the toilet a few times, gotten rid of the blue, and you do the dye tabs one more time. Not every flapper fits every orifice. Sometimes they're very brand specific. And so if you have a specific brand toilet, you might need to buy the flapper that fits that one only and not use a universal flapper. The second leak that's very common is when the water level is too high over the overflow tube. So you need to remove the lid and actually take a look at where the water level is. I like, as a rule of thumb, to say that the water needs to be a finger's digit below the top of the overflow tube. If it's not, then you can release a little bit of water and use that C-clamp to lower the float valve, which dictates how high the water is going to be. Check it out, and the water is just about an inch below the top. So the third type of leak, which is one that you actually can't measure with the dye tabs, you actually have to visually watch it. You still want to take the top off of the tank, and then when you flush the toilet, you want to watch how long that flapper stays up. If all the water in the tank disappears and then the flapper comes down, you have an excess of volume and it's taking way more water to flush than it should. Many times when you have flapper issues, whether they're staying up too long or they're not seating properly and they're leaking and the blue food coloring is coming through, it's because the flapper is mix-matched for the brand of the toilet itself. They do sell flappers as universal flappers, but they don't always fit. If you're finding that you put a flapper in, you recheck it with the dye tabs, it's still leaking, then you need to actually look and say, oh, wow, this is an American Standard, or it's a Toto, or it's a UPC toilet, and go to the hardware store in the plumbing section and buy a flapper specifically designed to fit that style toilet. For more information on identifying toilet leaks, on how to repair those that you found, and perhaps to assist you in finding the correct flapper for your brand of toilet, visit santabarbaraca.gov/waterwise.